check I've got my mic on. Oh, what a faff this bloody road mic is. Right, autumn, we're finally here. And of course, as is customary in the Lake District, it's now. But what can you do? We've got a plan for that today. Now, I'm at one of my favourite little patches of woodland here on the side of Derwentwater. And I've been shooting here for many years, and I'm finally starting to, oh great. Wait. Right, let me try that again. Bit of a shower came in there. Yeah, I'm just starting to, in the last sort of 18 months, really key into this patch of woodland, and I'm starting to see the compositions a bit more clearly here. I was here a couple of days ago in really flat light, nothing going on, really, to look at a couple of compositions that I think would work in better conditions now. It's absolutely pouring down today, but the key is getting to a location which really suits the conditions that you've got. And obviously this woodland is a prime candidate at the minute, especially in autumn when you've got lots of wet foliage around and you can use your polarizer to really bring out those colours. So I have already done a bit of shooting with this first shot, because it was one of those where this sort of misty, drizzly stuff keeps coming and going. So I wanted to get the shot in the can before it drifted off, which it has at the minute. Now hopefully it's going to come back. But I'll take you over to that shot that I've done first, and I'll talk you through that one. Now this is the advantage of doing a recce. When I came here the other day, I'd spied this composition and thought it had potential. And as I was saying earlier, coming back here in sort of mizzle, well, I guess you can call it fog. It's more rain than fog, to be honest. But yeah, I think this shot's really going to work today. I'll just talk you through the composition. We've got this lovely sort of fallen tree in the left hand side there, and the autumn colours just starting to come through on that tree there. And then we've got the three prominent trees in the foreground, which are going to sort of anchor the image. And then we've got these lovely bits of bracken and fern that have turned already, and these are providing a nice bit of colour. Now I've got the polarizer on. You can see the difference here that it's making in the shot, in that, you know, it's obviously really saturating the colours today because we've got this nice wet foliage. But I'm going to probably take one with and one without, because sometimes when it's like this, you can polarize and the colours can end up being a bit too vivid. So it's going to be a case of just sort of dialing in the polarization to taste and seeing what I think looks best when I come to process it. But we've got this lovely bit of recession into the distance there, where we've got some more fallen down trees in the middle distance, and this yeah, this fog just keeps coming and going nicely. So yeah, shot one of the day, and yeah, I think this is going to work pretty well. Job's a good one. Right, while I'm waiting around for these conditions to improve again, because the mizzly stuff's kind of drifted through a little bit and the light's a bit flat at the minute. I did mention on my last video that I was going to do a little bit of a Q&A, so while we're waiting around, I'll answer a couple of your questions that you've been asking me on YouTube and social media. First one, Wayne Wolfall, hopefully I've got your name right there, asks on Instagram, what's your favourite location in the Lake District and what's your favourite lens? That's an easy one. My favourite location in the Lake District, I'm a little biased because I live very close to there, but it's Wasdale, Wastwater, that sort of area, simply because as a landscape photographer it's a very challenging place to shoot, and I think a lot of people when they come to the Lake District have a sort of preconceived idea of nice pretty scenes and calmness and all that sort of stuff, which it can be, but Wastwater, because it's so close to the sea, it's got a sort of microclimate of its own, and the conditions are very rarely in your favour, so it does test you as a photographer as to your ability to produce something original. Because if you're going to go there with the idea of shooting nice sort of pretty reflections with rocks in the foreground at the lakeside, then that's not going to happen very often. So you've got to be adaptable there, but I like the challenge of shooting at Wastwater. Favourite lens? Ooh, tough one. I think since moving to this Z system, I can't really fault this 24-200. I mean, I'm shooting a lot of the stuff on it today, and yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Optically, it's absolutely superb. When I run my residential workshop in a couple of weeks, I'm going to get to be able to compare it with the 70-200 2.8. So look out for that. I don't do many gear type videos, but I think that one might be of use to some people if you're thinking about getting a 70-200 2.8, and if you think it's worth it or not. But at the minute, my 24-200 is definitely my favourite lens. Right, next one. So James Attenborough on Instagram also, he asks, what's my favourite image I've taken, and also, let me just check, yeah, favourite image taken and favourite image by someone else. Favourite image. My favourite image I've taken is one I took from Haystacks back in 2017, which is called Buttermere Bloom. And you'll know yourselves as landscape photographers that when you're shooting absolutely exceptional light, it sticks in your memory forever. And I would say in the time that I've been doing my photography, that's probably the best light that I've been fortunate to witness. Now, I was very fortunate, I guess, to be able to get a composition lined up nicely with that light and make it work, because we've all been there where you get light like that and you sort of panic stations and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I would say it's this one, Buttermere Bloom. It went on to win the Sunday Times Awards in Landscape Photography of the Year in 2018, and I guess it sort of helped a little bit to sort of boost my profile, as it were. And yeah, definitely a firm favourite for me, that one. I run it as a limited edition set of prints, that one, in the gallery. Favourite image by another photographer? Christ, where do I start with that? I'll give my mate a shout here, Neil Burnell. I guess his image, I forget what it's called now. I'll have to get the title of it, but I know it's of Shoalstone Pool in Devon, close to where he lives. And I've seen this image since he took it copied many times by other photographers, which is fair enough, I guess. I just wish people, when they do that, would reference the inspiration in the shot. But this shot of Neil's is fantastic, and I guess it kind of represents the style that he's since gone on to become synonymous with. And it's just a really well seen shot that you won't see if you're not creative, and Neil's a very creative photographer. I'll put a link to his bio and everything in the description. But yeah, this shot here is probably my favourite shot of another photographer. But I mean, I'll probably drop another 3 or 4 in that are memorable, that I think are worthy of a mention as well. Okay, so last question before I move on, because the conditions have really changed now. It's suddenly got bright, which wasn't on the forecast at all. So I'm going to have to think of a plan B here. Yeah, last question. This has been asked by quite a few people. Surprises me a little bit, because I'm still putting these videos out and amazed people actually watch them. But yeah, a lot of people have been asking, where's the framing video? Now, I did promise to do a framing video with my good friend Scott, who you very briefly saw in a clip quite quite a few videos back. To answer that question, yes, it will get done. I've had a few issues with, I'd already tried to film it once and we had a massive audio fail, and I think as lovable and as much of a character Scott is, I'm not sure he's that keen on being on the camera, so I think I'm going to have to do a bit of convincing Scott to get in front of the camera, but I think we'll manage it anyway. So yeah, I'm not going to put a time limit or date on when that's going to come, but I do intend on getting a framing video done one way or another, even if I have to bribe Scott. So it is coming, but yeah, you'll just have to be a bit patient for that. Right now though, I'm going to have to move because this shot that I had planned, I'll just show you what I was looking at. This was a shot that I came to a couple of days ago and had my eye on, and I think I've probably missed the window to shoot it today with where I was shooting first. So you can't be in two spots at once all the time, and it's just one of those things. So I'll show you the picture that I took as a recce, and don't obviously see that as the final version. Hopefully I'll be able to come back and shoot that again in better conditions before the end of this autumn, but for now I'm going to have a little bit of a mooch about and see if I can find something that works in these brighter conditions. Right, I'm just gonna have to abort this one because the rain is coming. It's absolutely lashing down now, and it's making filming and photography nigh on impossible. Truth be told, I don't feel that great. I'm actually coming down with a cold and I just want to get home to a hot bath now. If I got any other pictures there that work, I'll show them at the end. I did take a couple of pictures on the way back to the car, but really I'm not 100% sure they'll work, but if they did, I'll put them on the screen at the end. To answer a couple more questions just before I go though, first one, Leonie, she's been in the gallery quite a few times over the last 2 or 3 years, really nice girl. She asks, what's made the biggest difference to my photography? I'll try and answer that quite quickly. Biggest difference I found was that quite early on I cottoned on to the fact that I'm not a big planner. And I say that with a caveat in that you should always have an element of planning around weather and all that sort of stuff. But as far as rigid composition goes, of, you know, a certain scene set, shot rather, under certain light at a certain time of year and all that sort of stuff, I don't really go in for that an awful lot unless it's something specific that I need to shoot for the gallery. I found that when I worked a bit more flexibly and I just sort of turned up at a location and just took it in and shot what was there on the day and worked with the conditions that I had and didn't sort of limit myself too much, then my photography really improved very quickly. So I would say that was the number one sort of change, I guess, that had the biggest influence for me. Second question, let me just get this up. Steve H on YouTube, he asks, have you done a video on printing? No, I haven't done a video on printing, and I probably should do at some point given that I run a gallery. I've recently just invested in a big Canon Pro 2100, which does 24-inch wide rolls. So I will do a video on printing at some point in the future. Again, I'm not sort of tying myself to it's going to come out at this point or that point, because as you've seen today, I get quite a lot of people asking me when I'm going to do them. So that will come in the future. I've got a lot to say about printing. You know, it's very important, and you know, I mean, there's a load of great information already on YouTube about printing, but hopefully I can add something a little bit different to that discussion, given the sort of position I'm in, running a gallery and doing a lot more printing than your average photographer, should we say. But I'm going to leave this one here. I need to get home, I need to get in a bath, I feel dreadful, I need some paracetamol. I'll catch you on the next one. Sorry this has been a bit rushed and a bit crammed, but it's autumn and I'm going to be running around like a headless chicken for the next fortnight, so we'll see what happens.